Well, good evening, everybody. Papa D here, coming to you again from the lovely state of freedom in Florida. Before I start tonight, I'd like to say to everyone that was affected by our hurricane yesterday, I hope that people are recovering and the panhandle got beat around pretty good. And our part of the world got just mainly wind and rain. And I know up in Tennessee they got hit pretty hard. One hospital had to have helicopters come in and pick up the patients and staff. So we wish them all the best and Godspeed for a quick recovery from this storm. We got a couple more on the horizon, and we'll be keeping a close eye on those over the next, I guess, week to 10 days. But we want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and been a busy week, that's for sure. A lot of movement in the polls, a lot of movement as far as hitting those swing states. But we'll start off with a couple thanks before I bring Angela in. She is waiting in the wings. Let me cue that up. But thank you to Madness Productions for the bumper music. We appreciate that. And thank you to our subscribers. We appreciate every one of you for coming out. Those of you who are new to the channel, if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We come on at least once a week, if not twice a week, as we get deeper into the season and closer to the election. We hope to be a little bit more able to do more than one a week, but been a busy one this week anyway, and we've got a lot to discuss. So if you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you come on board, be part of the family. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notify button as we put up videos and the live feeds, so you will be notified when we go live. And again, this is a channel that we talk about the politics of the day. And although it'll be quite clear what side of the street we fall on, we will always say, please watch the news, investigate, get all the information you can, make a decision, but vote. Whether you are a Democrat, liberal, if you are a Republican, conservative, you are an independent, we'd love to have you visit us, take what we provide, and then go out, do your research, and make your decision, as this great nation allows us to do. So with that being said, no further ado, I'm going to bring in my cohort in crime, and let's see if the magic of technology works for me this week. Angela, you there?
I'm here.
There you is. How you doing
All
up there in
right.
Tennessee?
We're doing good. Where we're at, we're not necessarily near a lot of the intense flooding that's happening on the plateau, and it is really bad from what I've seen on the news today. We've been just getting, like you and a lot of people in your area have been getting, just those really strong winds. Lots of rain. It has not stopped raining since yesterday at like 4 p.m. It is just constantly raining. So we have the flood warnings, but so far so good. Also, I'm very grateful because the way it was looking last night, I watched a lot of live coverage on YouTube. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people do the meteorology streaming, and it was very intense. And I just feel awful for all of the people who have lost their homes, pets, loved ones. I know there have been, several fatalities so far. It's just devastating, but we are going to get through this. Everybody's going to get through this, and we're going to do it together. That's what I'm taking away from it, at least.
That's right. Well, we wish them all the best in the recovery, and like I said, it's a storm that affected just more than a couple of states. It's been just devastating. So thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers to all of them, and we again hope for a speedy recovery for all of them. We do have a couple more on the horizon, so we'll keep our eyes on that. But been a busy week, to say the least. Aside from the weather, we've had
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot of action on both sides leading up to the big day. And we are now, what, under 40 days? I think we're at 40 days. Maybe
No,
39.
39 days today.
39. Okay. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
bring my counter up, but I know I was close. But with 39 days to go, the polls continue to be tight. The Depending on what you're looking at, the swing state polls are bouncing around,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the electoral college count appears to still be leaning quite heavily in the favor of Donald J. Trump. And I guess what we'll do is, I'm not sure where you wanted to start. I mean, I've kind of broached into the polls right away, but if you
I
want to
can do
start off with,
polls.
yeah, we can hit the polls and where we
Okay.
are. I've got up the. I'll tell you what. Let's just go with that. I've got the Real Politics again. Thank you to Real Politics and Real Politics Polling. We appreciate them for all they do. We pull a lot of data from them, but I'm looking at that, and it says it's really as tight as it's been. Right? We're still looking at that. Plus Rasmussen showing Trump at
Yeah.
+2. So go ahead and dig into what you
It's
have, and then we'll rock
okay.
it from there.
All right. So welcome in everybody. Just want to start off with that. Okay. So we, like I've been telling everybody for weeks now, as we get closer to election day, there are going to be several different avenues as far as um, the Electoral College forecast that we've been giving you guys are going to go. So I'm going to break that down. But I do want to start out, I always start out with the national poll. Right now, as Dad just mentioned, Trump is up by 2 points nationally. That has flipped in the last couple of days. So Harris was ahead, I think, Monday by like 1.2%. It wasn't a whole lot. So Trump has regained back in ahead of Harris for right now. His odds of winning is gone. It's just continuously going up. Last week it was in the 60s. Right now we're at 77% likelihood for Trump to win. And how they figure that is not just the betting odds. I've seen a lot of breaking down how many states have already basically, they're in the red, and it's Trump is getting those states.
Right.
So swing state wise, it's been up, it's been down, it's been all over the place. Okay. If you turn your head and take a deep breath for 1 minute, it's up 2 percentage points in another state. So that is how crazy it is. It's just all over. But right now, as of today, what I've been looking at is Arizona, Trump is ahead by 2. Georgia, he's up now by 1.1. Now, all of these that I'm going to mention are still well within the margin. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he's
Right.
got like this running head start. It just means that within that margin, he's ahead of Harris right now in those states, or vice versa.
Right. Yeah, anything that's within that margin, it's dead heat,
Right,
but also a dead heat really leans in the side or to the side of Trump, based
right.
on what we're seeing overall.
The only one that um, I actually truthfully buy into is the fact that she's up in Wisconsin by less than a point. And the reason I say that is because that has been her strongest, I feel like, other than Michigan, in all of these swing states. That's the one where she's really led the way most of the time. It's still very well within the margin. And there have been talks that Trump is starting to gain ground in some of these areas in Wisconsin. So we could see that flip towards Trump either way. But the only two that are at like a dead gridlock is Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Right.
There is no like tenth of a point either side. It's just deadlock in the middle. But then that goes into the Electoral College. So I want
Yeah,
to.
what we're talking about, just to clarify it for the viewers, what we're talking about is the polls relating to just pure vote numbers.
Right.
This is
Right.
not the impact of those vote numbers leaning into the states and then the number of electoral college votes that would generate 270 for either candidate. So we're just talking raw votes, and the raw vote count has really been leaning, still always has historically been leaning towards the Democrats anyway. But
Right.
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about now the true who will win, how they win, and that's what Angela's got for us next.
Right. So if he, for the last 21 days now, Trump has been either hovering at or above 300 in the Electoral College count. So that is pretty massive. That's almost an entire month where the data in multiple different scenarios keeps leaning in that direction. That is not like a fudge in the system. It's pretty conclusive at this point that Trump is going to at least get close, or if not exceed that, therefore winning him the presidency. There's several ways that this could happen that I've been looking into, and I just want to mention those because some of the viewers might be in these swing states. This is how important it is for you, everyone you know who is eligible to vote in the United States, to cast that vote either early or on election day. Okay, so right now, Trump is sitting at, now he's forecasted to be 300 or above. He's at 219 right now. These are the states that they predict he is going to get the most votes and therefore take the number of electoral votes for that state towards his count,
Right.
towards 270. Okay.
That he has the lock right now. These
Right.
are not
He has,
leaning; they're locked.
those are locked. They will be read on election day, and there is at least a 97% chance or higher that those are going to be for Trump. Now,
Okay.
if he's favored right now to at least take Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. That's where we're heading. I strongly believe that's a major possibility, especially with Arizona being a border state, and that is one of their biggest issues with voters right now, rightfully so. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, in past elections, I think in the last 8 elections, with the exception of Biden, have all leaned Republican. So I do see that happening. Trump has been gaining a lot of momentum. He is ahead right now in the poll. So I do see him taking Georgia. North Carolina, he's been ahead a lot within this last month. It's been kind of flip floppy, but I do see him ultimately taking North Carolina. That puts him at 262. Here's the thing with that. If he gets to 262, he only needs 8 more electoral votes to make it to that magic number.
Right.
It wouldn't matter what other state he got, which could be several. He would win the presidency at that point, even if he only got one more out of the remaining swing states. Harris, on the other hand, now we are going to cover both sides because, like Dad stated in the beginning, we know who we're voting for. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to give you all of the facts, and these are all of the facts as I have them today. Harris right now in the Electoral College count is at 226. So, okay, you look at that on the map and you're like, oh no, okay, it's okay. If she takes the ones that I'm thinking are going to lean in her direction, Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin, if she can pull it off, she would only be at 257 electoral college count.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I'm not
she
sure
would
about
need,
Wisconsin. That's not even
right.
That's tighter
It's
than
been
anybody
leaning.
can
That's the only
imagine.
why. Right. It's been going back and forth. So that's the only way. That's the only reason I really added it was because it has been known to lean Democrat in past elections. So I had to take that into account as well. But she would only be at 257 at that point. So she would need a huge, and I'm talking like massive push to get Pennsylvania. Um, and even then, I mean, I don't really know Pennsylvania because overall this month, Trump has been ahead in Pennsylvania more so than Harris. So the likelihood, if they can keep the pressure on Pennsylvania, I think they've got it. They also had a district that flopped this week with early voting in Pennsylvania already happening, guys. A district in Pennsylvania has gone from blue to red. That's huge because it's a predominantly blue leaning district in Pennsylvania. So that is enormous. That could be what takes Trump over the top.
That I'm glad you mentioned that, Ange, because that is indicative of what I think is going to happen in Pennsylvania as a whole, right up to Election Day. There's a lot of people who are playing the polls that are either refusing to do the polls because they're recording them and whatnot, or they're just saying what we've talked about this before.
What everybody else wants to hear.
Yep. So,
and I made a post about that on X earlier this week that, you know, no matter what your influences are, whether it's family, friends, work, church, whoever, whenever, wherever, what really matters, and we've said this before, Dad, when you get in that room, okay, you're standing in that little box and you're looking at the screen, or if you're, you know, you're in the booth, but you've got your paper ballot, depending on what state you're in and what those regulations are, the only one in there is you, and you don't have to answer to anybody else. You have that choice. Make it for yourself.
It's you and your conscience.
Right.
And based on it, like I said earlier, and Angie and I say every week, you know, we provide a lot of information here. A lot of other streaming platforms provide a lot of information. The news media, some can be trusted, some not as much as others. But there's a lot of information out there that you can jam into your head, chew it up, and then you'll spit it out in the form of a vote. And I think there's a lot of people, and I think that district in Pennsylvania is so much more important than, I know that it won't get a lot of media coverage, but I think that's
Probably
what
not.
you're going to see in Pennsylvania, because, I mean, the Democratic Party has made it clear, even though they're talking out of both sides of their face about this, you know, they're going after coal. They're going after the steel industry, environmental industries, gas, the fracking. And I think all those things have now come home to roost. It's resonating that with the people that, you know, you don't vote for the party, you vote for who you believe is going to be the one to provide you and your friends and your family with an income and with a good life. And some of the things that are, or some of the things that the liberals have backed before and gone after are all things that would be, not all, but a lot of them would be things that would be very painful to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So that one district is, I believe, the tip of a very large melting iceberg. And so
I think he's
can't
running
stress
away
that
with
enough.
this.
I think he runs
Right.
away with Pennsylvania. I really do.
I think so too. I honestly, Dad, I did a little bit of like what my own prediction would be, not just like, you know, what the numbers are saying right now. And here's what I'm thinking. No joke. And I'm going to save, I have all my notes and I'm going to save everything, and on election night we're going to do a little side by side. And I really want to see if this comes to fruition, because right now I see him winning Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
I agree.
I don't necessarily think he's going to take Michigan or Nevada. He might take Nevada, but it's only 6 electoral votes, so that at that point it wouldn't really matter. But
you could throw that.
He could
away.
take it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think he's going to take all those.
There are two states, two swing states in play right there that you mentioned, that are ones that I don't hold a lot of hope for, but you just don't know.
Right.
And even with those two in play, with everything else lining up the way it is, I mean, what are we looking at? About a 312, 314?
If he wins every single swing state, he's at 312. With the prediction that I just made, he's at 291. So he's
Right.
hovering near or at still with all those predictions
Right.
at around 300.
And technically, anything 300 and above is destroyed.
He's landsliding
It's
the
classified
whole
as a
win.
landslide.
Right.
So we're even though we are hovering around, or the campaign is hovering around the numbers. I think what we're kind of you and I agree with is that the fudge factor alone isn't enough to throw this thing into the
Mm-mm.
Harris camp.
She isn't even she's not even doing as well as Biden did in 2020. I did make some notes about that too. Like at the same time in leading in the last election, Biden led in most of these battleground states by at least 5 points.
Hmm.
Um, and Harris isn't even leading in some of them by a full point. So that should be ringing alarm bells for so many people in that camp with Kamala Harris right now because I mean, I can understand if you're a little bit behind. It is the tightest race we've ever had. That is true. However, you should really if you put in the work like you say and you've got all these people behind you, you really should be a lot further ahead at this point in the game, and I don't necessarily think she's going to be able to dig herself out enough
Yeah.
with less than 40 days to go. And then we have the debate coming up on Tuesday, and honestly I really don't think um that's going to go in their favor. I have a lot of reasoning why. I know we're going to get to that, but I don't think that's going to be enough of a Hail Mary at this point to dig that campaign out of the depths and rise above in a lot of these areas to win this election.
I think I think this is going to be this debate is going to be. I agree with you, 100%. It's not going to be a positive push for the campaign, and it's going to be because their guy, I believe, is going. He tries to portray himself as something he's not, but he's going to come in with both guns blazing, not anything less than close to what happened during the Trump Harris debate, with the exception of this guy is a. If they're looking for a loose cannon, they got themselves a loose cannon, and I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that, and that's going to show. And I think that the numbers after that debate uh, will show that very clearly. And
Oh,
it's not
absolutely.
gonna
I
happen.
believe the same.
Yeah. So it's I don't think if they're I don't think the campaign's hanging their hat on a vice presidential candidate pulling this thing out. I mean, you're talking about a party that raised hundreds of millions of dollars in a matter of a few days after she was got her coronation and was made the candidate.
Right.
And if money is indicative of a win, even that the hundreds of millions of dollars that they raised, and plus the war chest that Biden had raised and had in the accounts prior that she was able to get access to, um, it hasn't helped. And answer this, not answer this, but what do you think, Ange, about this? I mean, I know it's still a little bit of time until election day, so there's time yet to spend money. There's time for the ads to start blowing up, and every 5 minutes or every 5 minutes you'll see something. I have not seen
Right.
a huge amount where I can say, boy, they're spending a lot of money on the campaign. I haven't seen it, and normally by now
I
you'd be seeing a whole lot of print, internet. Every time you click on something that's related to politics, ads will pop
That's
up,
true.
and they're not.
I haven't really seen a whole lot um really on TV or well, the only thing I've seen on social media is, people sharing and then just, analyzing it as, like a comedy roast.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
but here I do have a theory on that though. So you and I both technically don't live in states that she's going to absolutely have to win this election. So they might
Yeah.
be pouring all of these ads into these swing states that they're like, please, God, let us find the one independent who's undecided that we might be able to sway.
Yep.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me, really.
That's
I
that's
haven't
the only
seen
thing that makes
anything.
sense. But I try to watch, and so do you. So do a lot of our viewers.
Hmm.
I always say watch all the different media outlets, even though you might not be able to stomach some of it. You see
Right,
what's
and it
being
is
said and
terrible.
how. So I kind of float around, and I have to admit, not for long periods of time because I just can't. I'm just. I don't think my heart can take it. But you watch the commercials that are coming up and the thing. It isn't there. Not what
No.
I would expect for a candidate in a race that's this tight, and your outlet, your media outlets that you control have made it very clear that they're going to be on your side. Not that that helps with advertising. Advertising is paid for,
Well,
but I don't know. It's just a strange vibe because this time of the year before an election, even an election that's
it's
not very tight,
everywhere.
it would be everywhere. It would be in the
Hmm.
mailboxes. It would be in, like I said, you click on a video, you're going to get a commercial. You get it make you crazy, and there's just nothing.
Either that or her campaign has decided to wait until October to really ramp that up into overdrive.
Yeah,
But at
unload the
that point,
cannon all
it's
at
like,
once.
what? Right. It's like at that point, though, Dad, like, what are you waiting for exactly? Like, you are running out of time, and every second really does matter at this point. Every
Mm-hmm.
appearance, every question, everything. Um, I just feel like she's not taking this as seriously as it needs to be. Maybe she's like assuming that she's already won because of the Democrat status and, all of the things that we've talked about before with um
Sounds like
I
sounds
just
like 2016 with Hillary, doesn't it?
kind of does,
I
and you
mean,
see
it
what
was
happened then. So,
yeah, it was over. It was over before it began, and there was no way. And even the polls. I mean, the polls were saying the same thing then. That, the Trump was not ahead anywhere. I mean, he polls very poorly. We already know that, and I think a lot of that is
right,
because people just don't want to. No,
I don't
popular
plan on
vote.
him winning the popular vote.
Yeah, no, popular vote's not what wins you an election, a presidential
No.
election. But it's very to me, it's very weird. It's very indicative, vibe wise, and the way this thing is unfolding, in line with the 2016. And if they figure that the game is lost, or it's either the game is lost, so we're not going to waste the money, or the game is so won that we're not going to worry about it, like you said.
Right.
Um, it's just a strange thing. But now we'll see as we get, looking at 39 days till election day with early vote. Can't talk. Early voting starting already.
Oh yeah, in a
We'll
bunch of
see if
different states.
this picks up. But I'm paying a lot of attention. I think everyone should pay attention to that. It's like my dad used to say about Christmas shopping. You go to the mall back when there was malls, back when the malls were open.
Right.
Okay,
You
but
had to
back in the
fight for those
day,
sales.
and you would go to the mall and you'd see thousands of people. That my father would say, "Yeah, but how many? Who's carrying bags? Right? Who's got
Mhm.
the stuff? Anybody buying stuff? People can walk around the mall. Kind of a stretch, but the parity for me is, or the comparison there is that everybody's talking about the election. You got your two camps, but yet the polls and all the research backing it up is not indicative of what's actually going on out there. The mall's full, but nobody's buying nothing, and
Right.
that was
And I
what.
think also, Dad,
Mhm.
like a lot of
Go ahead.
people have so much has come out in the news in the last 2 weeks that is very damaging for the Biden Harris togetherness campaign that they've been running for the last 4 years. That
Joy.
I think people, as we predicted, more and more Americans, even registered Democrats, have come out and said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I'm voting for Trump. So I think we're
Mm-hmm.
going to see a higher trend of that as we really get deep into October. Um, if this trend continues with all of these allegations, all of these numbers coming out about illegal
Mm-hmm.
immigration at the border, all of these criminals, we just got that information released today. Um, Hundreds of thousands of murderers, rapists, convicted criminals, all in the United States. A lot of them have already been caught and released back into our country because that's what they have
Mhm.
instilled when they, came into office. So I think a lot of people are seeing that, and it makes it even more real.
Right.
It puts a statistic on paper. We're not just seeing it with our eyes, but now our eyes are being valid. What we're seeing every day is being validated by the numbers that are coming out.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are they're gonna change their minds. I really
Well, and
do.
you have, and like we've been saying, and like a lot of people are saying out there. I mean, bottom line is, how good are you? How off are you? How good are you today? Boy, oh boy!
It's
I didn't
okay,
think I
Dad.
had.
He's
I didn't
worked
think I
all
had
day,
that.
guys. Just hang in there.
I didn't think I had that long of a day at work. Uh, how good off are you now compared to where you were 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago? Now
Right.
we were. I was talking with your mother tonight. We were saying, yeah, it's, a few years ago, $100 a week for two people. It got us a lot of groceries and whatnot. Now we do a little shopping. Costs us double that, or 80, at least
Mm-hmm.
80% more. But what hasn't gone up in price has gone. It's gone up in price because it's gone down in how much you get in the package. And there's people, go out and ask the people on the street. And what I've been seeing in all those, walk into the restaurant deals and interview the people while they're having breakfast sessions and all that the media love to do. And a lot of that is the liberal media. And the answers they're
Oh yeah.
getting, matter of fact, there's one, I believe it might have been CBS went out and they went to a bunch of local restaurants in a city, and they only found one person on average in each restaurant that even said they were going to vote Democratic. And it was an
And I
area
believe
that
it.
should have been more, a lot more than that. So, you know, you can poll all you want, but at the end of the day, when people have to struggle to buy groceries, to buy gas to get to work, to pay insurance costs that are up 60% over last
Mm-hmm.
or over the last year, definitely over the last 3 years. Uh, when you talk about the cost of living, Social Security getting about maybe a 2 to 2.5% increase with a cost of living that is double-digit inflation. Um, people are going to say whatever they want to say, and I believe
Right.
they're going to vote the way we think they're going to vote. So it'll be very interesting. But that poll, that not the poll, but the results that you indicated coming out of, oh my God, what county was it? What district was it? I forget now.
Oh,
But
I don't know. It started with an L, but I forgot to write it down. But
okay, well,
I'll
that's the
figure
tip.
that out.
That's the tip of the iceberg, and I think that's how the whole state's going to roll. And it's just a matter of
Oh, I think so too. People have just had enough, and you can only poke the bear so long
oh
before
yeah,
the bear, meaning the American population as a whole, wakes up finally and says, "You know what? I went to the store today and I couldn't buy whatever it is, my favorite whatever." And
right.
that could be the tipping point. I mean, I went to the grocery store this week and a 12 count of eggs is almost $6 and it's not even
Mm-hmm.
the organic expensive stuff. So, I mean, it's getting a little ridiculous, I feel
Yeah,
like at
yeah.
this point. And so,
Well,
I
try
agree
try going and buying a
wholeheartedly.
steak. See what
Oh,
see what a
we
pound of
don't.
beef will get you.
We are turkey and pork and
Pretty
chicken. You
much.
can't even buy ground beef is $6 a pound on a
Yeah,
good day. I mean, it's
yeah.
terrible.
So that's what people are looking at, and people are going to vote with their purse, and that's
Oh,
why I don't think
absolutely.
these again. The popular vote based on state populations and the blue and red state population hits in the larger states they have, yeah, that's not gonna change for the most part. Uh, but I think there are a few states, and you've mentioned them, that are not going to play by the rules that
Mm-mm.
the parties have historically seen. and that's what
Right.
happened in 16. It's what's happened. It's what happened. Goes back to the first Ronald Reagan, 1980, I believe. Uh,
Yeah.
it's happened many times before, and that's one of the biggest questions that keeps getting asked of Kamala is, you've got these. You're coming out with plans. You're not plans, but you're going to fix this. You're going to fix that. You're going to get grocery prices down. You're going to do all this stuff. Why haven't you done it? And that's coming out. That
Right.
came out of that one of the restaurant sessions. And these are lifelong Democrats are saying, hey, quit talking about it. Why haven't you done anything? So the American people
Right.
are asking questions that I don't believe anyone anticipated, because
Oh God,
the
no.
parties are
God, no.
used to getting everyone in lockstep, and the lockstep is
Mm-hmm.
now based on a lot of
It
factors
broke.
isn't there anymore.
Right.
But one thing you did say, you were mentioning about all the different things coming out in the media that is kind of adding fuel to the fire or fuel to the fodder. Um, there was a report this week about Iran spying on the Trump campaign and providing
Mm-hmm.
those details of information that they've received through unscrupulous means to the Biden campaign, to the Biden-Harris campaign. And of course, there was a statement made that they've turned that information over to the proper authorities and whatnot. But even with that being done, I think the level of distrust that the American people have anymore, that just adds more fuel to that fire. And it's just
Oh,
one more
oh yeah.
event on top of an event on top of an event. And there's a lot of people don't even believe that the assassination attempts were, you know, the investigation or the protection is on the up and up. So there's a lot of distrust, and I think that adds enough fuel to the fire to be able to really to make some things happen dramatically on election day.
And I do agree with you. I think that
Well, thank
throughout
you.
this whole you're welcome. This whole campaign, when Kamala got anointed and they had the whole ceremony, you guys were there for it. I think ever since she, you know, came on the scene, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
it has been one flub after one misstep after one thing coming out in the media. I mean, it's just a snowball effect. And if it's one thing you start to learn about politics is that when you get your campaign in that snowball effect, there's
Mm-hmm.
really no coming out of it at all. It is not going to stop. It's just a run on thing that's going to continuously make you, everyone you're associated with, and the worst part about it is, like we mentioned, she's still the vice president of the United States. And when is that going to be taken into account for
Mm-hmm.
what she has essentially been there for this entire time? Every policy, um, everything. That
Mm-hmm.
it's you have to be able to answer for what you believe in and what your plan is. And time again, we have seen a stark contrast between the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign, where Trump gets out there and he might take a little while to get, around the whole circle, but he decisively talks about what he is going to do for the American people, not for the government, not to bring us out of debt, not to, he does talk about the economy and all those things, but he centers his discussion like he is talking directly to you, not all of his donors or all of the people that, put him
Mm-hmm.
in that position, or nothing along those lines. Vance also does that. He's a very concise speaker, and like the corporate lawyer that he is, um and senator too. I think that's what's going to make the difference in this next debate is you want to drive it on home. The message has gotten out there up to this point on both sides, and a lot of people don't believe Harris. A lot of people do. A lot of people don't believe Trump. A lot of people do. And you want to see, okay, this is like the bow on top, right? So this is the
Mhm.
only time you're going to see these two face off against each other on stage until the election. This is it. So
Yep.
you want to drive that message into the ground. And who do you want up there fighting for you? The school teacher who said he went to war and said he was a
Yeah.
coach but was only an assistant, or do you want the lawyer who literally argues with people that that what he is saying is the correct of what's happening in the facts versus the defendant? So I don't know. I have my thoughts, but I really do feel like Vance is going to run away with this one within the first
Oh yeah.
15 minutes.
It's going to be a punch
Um,
fest. Ain't no doubt
it
about
is
that.
very much, and they will have their jabs. Don't get me wrong. Vance is going to call Waltz out on the
Stolen
weapon
valor.
situation in war, the stolen valor, and Walls is going to go after Vance about his, he was once a never Trumper and all these things. People
Mhm.
change, people grow. The ones who listen to opinions and grow from it are the mature ones. The ones who stand there and do the exact opposite are the exact opposite. So it is going to be interesting to see that contrast. But I do have a feeling the stronger of the two is JD Vance. Um, and Walls has a very, very short fuse. Like you mentioned
Oh,
in the beginning, Dad, I
you
don't
just
think
wait for that.
one little something from Vance and he is off the rails. I mean, I can see it. And you know, Trump is that way to a point, but he knows when to rein it in and really get back to business. He's a businessman
Yeah.
at heart. Um,
Well,
so I
that was
don't.
the first. That was their debate. It's just him being egged on to get him to the point where he'd pop. And then
Mhm.
a couple of
And he
times
wouldn't
he
do it.
did. Sometimes
Well, a little bit.
well, when you're getting, pelted by the other candidate and both the moderators, you can only take so much of that too. But you're absolutely right. It's not going to take. I don't think it's going to take a whole hell of a lot of time for JD to get
Mm-mm.
under his skin, and the exact opposite happened of what happened in the presidential debate. Going to be interesting as all hell. It's going to be entertaining, I can tell you that, and
Oh, it's gonna
hopefully
be.
a whole lot more informative, and informative in the way that whether it's
I
good
hope
or
so
bad.
too.
Let's get some information about what each of these guys think instead of just
Right. And here's a good point too that I want a lot of people to think about. Um, in light of what has been happening with the two separate assassination attempts on Trump, we're hearing now this week that shots were fired at a campaign headquarters for Harris in Arizona.
hmm
That has not been confirmed, but if it is true, it's happening on both sides. If you are a voter, okay, whether you're voting Harris and you've already decided your heels are dug in the sand, or if you are voting for Trump, you have to watch this debate, sit down, look at all the what's being said, the pros and the cons, do all your analytics, okay? Think to
hmm
yourself while you're watching this debate, if anything, God forbid, happened to either Kamala Harris as president or as Donald Trump as president, these two one or the other could potentially be the president of the United States in that situation. So take that
hmm
into account
And
when you
who
are
would you
watching
want?
this. Right. I know who I'm voting for.
Yeah,
You choose it
I'm
for
not.
yourself, but
Yeah.
take that
I'm not
into
sure I'd
account.
want the guy that put tampons in that 12-year-old boys' bathrooms in school. As the
Me
guy
neither.
that
Just saying.
I'd want. Say what you want about Trump, but this guy is the two of them, in my humble opinion, are just a fuse waiting to go off. So we'll see where, but you'll see that come out in the debate, and that's what's going to be interesting about this debate. Who keeps their head and who loses it first. And
Right.
like I said, we'll hope for content. We'll hope for issues. I think we'll get it at least from one side as far as plan of action with respect to the economy, immigration, the things that matter, crime.
Right.
Uh,
Policies and the issues.
that's what people want to hear because they didn't get a whole lot of that out of the first debate or out of the
Mm-mm.
only debate. Because from what we're hearing, there
Right.
will be no other debates between Donald J. Trump and Harris.
Which
There's no need.
I have
There's no
said
need
this to
for it.
you, and there is absolutely no need. And here's the reason why. No one in their right mind, and I'm going to get heated about this because this is just asinine to me. No one in their right mind has another debate 12 days before election day when a third of the country has already started voting, and
Mhm.
15 days before election day, 6 more states start voting early. And why on earth would you ever want to do that to
Yeah.
yourself when most of these states for weeks have been heavily leaning in the other direction? It's a Hail Mary attempt. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it just screams to me, I'm desperate. Please, for the love of God, don't vote for this guy. Vote for me. And it's just, it makes her look terrible. So I think Trump did
Yeah.
the right thing for himself and for her sake. Don't embarrass yourself. Just
Right.
stop. Don't do another debate.
No, makes no sense. Doesn't do any good. Doesn't do him
Oh,
any good. It doesn't do her any good, like you said. Uh,
no,
it,
God, no.
it, so at this point, why would you bother? Now, of course, the fodder that's being thrown out by the Harris campaign is, oh well, he needs. I heard her one of her rallies, I think it was. Well, the old line she uses if you want to let's go face to face, get in my face. If you want to talk,
Oh, God. She
go at me,
already
go
did
face to
that.
face. But there's no sense in it. It doesn't make any sense. As the Trump
Mm-mm.
campaign has said, we've debated twice already, once for each of your candidates, and we're done. Uh, if someone
Which I
is
think is
asking for
respectable.
another one, it's because they think they're going to get something out of it. And I think what
Right.
she would need to get out of it would be a more calmer demeanor, a calmer head, less glaring, and then it would give her the opportunity to then come in and actually come up with policies, even though they're policies that she has borrowed from elsewhere. Uh, but it would lend some credence to, well, look at she does have policy. Well, at this point in time, it's too late. The horse has left the barn. The barn's on fire. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
you want to have a debate, have it in the media with yourself, and use your
Right.
campaign ads, and that's what both of them need to do right
Or
now.
right. Trump needs to ramp it up for sure, which I have no doubt. We have seen him in the last 2 elections. As soon as October hits, I mean, it is just Trump bombs are, their ads are
Oh yeah,
everywhere, all over the place. I have no doubt in my mind
and that's
that we're going to
that's
see that
maybe
from
what
him.
happens with the Harris campaign. What we were talking about just a little bit ago.
Could be. But
We're
I
gonna.
don't feel like I've seen her in as many places around the country doing these rallies
Mm,
and really getting her message out to the voters. I have seen Donald Trump all over creation. And then, and the same thing goes with Walls. Like, I know they're in debate prep right now, but I did my calculations, Dad. He's going to have a total of 10 days of debate prep.
mm-hmm.
Like, is that
Okay.
exceptionally necessary? Are we going to see another rehearsal and delivery like we did with Kamala versus Trump? Like, I don't, it kind of, you need to be out there constantly delivering that message that you want to get to people, or else guess what? You take a half a foot off the brake and you're done.
Right.
Like, it's just over. And you can't, with this close of a race, I think she's really, either her campaign is not advising her properly or something, but I mean, this is her, I feel like this is really her Hail Mary, is this VP debate, which
Well, it's all they've
historically
got
no
left.
one really takes serious.
Right. She's not going to get her debate. Trump's already said no.
No.
There's going to be no more debates. So what do they have? They've got one debate coming up, and it's these. So they're hanging all their, all their whatever they got left on that tree.
Right. And if you guys have seen um, on social media, possibly even in the news, it might have been on a cycle of the news that I wasn't watching at the time. If you have seen Walls's wife at these She is standing in for her husband right now. In case no one knew, she is standing in as her husband while he's in debate prep school. So she gets up
pathetic.
there and it's, I mean, with the turn the page. I mean, oh my God. I had to watch it like 4 times because I couldn't even, I thought it was AI. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was real, and it's real. And so if that's what
She's
we're
got to
seeing
understand
as his
rhyming.
right, that's why I'm kind of worried about his debate performance because like, oh boy. I mean, if that's what he's around, um, the majority of the time. And now I don't know her personally, but I mean, that is not normal behavior on the campaign trail. I don't know, I've never been on a campaign trail before, but if you're going to be the spouse of a vice president, you don't want to be conducting yourself like the people you're trying to get the message across to are a bunch of 3-year-olds in preschool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the way to go around it. Okay. These are grown adults with grown adult problems, and you need to respect them and treat them as such. So I was really put off by that just as a viewer, not necessarily a Harris supporter. But so I think if that's who I mean, obviously they're associated with each other because they're married. Um, if that are we going to see some of that behavior? We don't know, but I tend to take a guess that it is not going to it's not going to be his best performance. And the problem with this debate is this has to be the best debate performance in their respective careers, no matter how long or short that lasts. They have to be on their 100% A game the minute they walk on stage.
Yeah.
Period. And if you're not, people are going to see the body language, they're going to see the eye contact, they're going to see the sweating. People are going to sit there and nitpick and analyze every single thing about these
Oh,
two
yeah.
men. So if you are not ready, God help you, and I'm praying for you. But
Yeah. Let's cue this up
whew,
and show
get the
this to the
popcorn.
viewers real quick.
Turn the page. You like that? Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna turn the page. Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're gonna turn the page. And we're gonna turn the page. All right, so I'm gonna be watching you because when I see Wisconsin, and I'm going to watch you nationally on TV because this is a pretty important place, and Minnesota helped you practice with this. You just show me this. Turn the page, right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye.
Okay.
Oh my God. It gets more painful every time you watch
gets-
it.
I was luckily I was able to show that and not be on the stream because I just
Oh,
threw up
I
my
can
mouth.
imagine.
Ugh.
Right. I had dinner
Anyway.
not too long ago, but that's okay.
Yeah, I had
we're
a
holding it
great
down.
dinner. I had a great dinner tonight. Had some great stir fry, homemade stir fry. It was awesome.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, it was really good. Yeah, Mom did a good job. It was awesome.
Good job, Mom.
Turkey, right? Chicken and veggies, and anyway, but it was awesome. And now I'm like going, "Brr."
Right.
Not that,
but did
but
you notice,
that.
Dad? Did you notice Walls in the background mimicking his wife
Yeah,
as she did that for the first time? So that's why I say to you guys, really pay attention to what he does and his movements and all those things, because it really tells a lot about how prepared and how confident that person really feels on the inside. They project it on the outside when they're in high pressure situations. And he does have
what you gonna end up
typically like, right, it's very serious. This is a more serious concern, I think, than we've had really since Reagan. That a vice president, you're having to look at them as a secondary, for a letter of lack of a better term, a secondary president, if in fact the president is injured. I mean, and not even necessarily assassinated, seriously injured and in the hospital. The vice president will step in and take over presidential duties until the president can do his or her job at the most effective way possible. So oh boy, that's a,
I
can you imagine?
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
want
even
to, but
if the president's getting surgery done or something, the vice president has to be handed the pen and the power. I mean, what is that the nut job you want? It's funny because Sky News host called out Gwen Waltz for her turn the page thing, and he called it off the Richter scale weirdness.
I would say that's accurate. Cringy.
Yeah, Sky News does not pull punches with politics.
I gotta know though. Like, I know this is really, I gotta know what is in this Kool-Aid, because my God, like, I don't understand how, and she was very quiet during the DNC, she was waving and giving her hellos and her highs and, nice to meet yous. And then, a couple weeks later, it's like she just let it all hang out on stage, and I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
where is this woman coming from?
Yeah.
Where, I don't know what
Gwen,
happened.
you're not helping the cause. You need to just turn your page. Turn that page.
Turn the page and
Turn the
go.
page.
I don't know.
Turn the
but
page. Turn that page.
I just, oh my gosh,
All right.
that was trippy. But yeah, take with that what you will, guys.
Take it. That's. Yeah, it's just more than I can handle tonight. But we just went over the hour mark, so we're coming up on time. But what's do you have anything that you wanted to go over out of your stuff before we get ready to start closing out? I want to make sure we get everything covered. The big thing was hitting the polls and what's going on out there on the numbers front, and I think that gives everybody a little bit of something to think about and something to go out and do a little homework on, and verify and cross-verify for yourselves.
Right, especially if you are living in one of these swing states that we mentioned, please, we really need you to really do your homework, look into both candidates, regardless of who you might think you're voting for, regardless of who your family is voting for, all of those things. Really do a deep dive for yourself. And so you can make that most informed decision on election day, unless you have early voting available. We encourage you to do that if you can.
Yes, early voting is the way to go, guys. And we'll give you something a little bit late, a few minutes here when we get ready to close out about election integrity. It's a site we follow, and we're very, very not close to. They don't sponsor us, but it's something we believe in. So if there's early voting allowed in your state, or not allowed, but as early voting opens up, that would be the way to go. Vote early, get it in, get it locked in. If you vote, what I would think, if I lived in a state that had early voting and then had electronic balloting, I would early vote on a paper ballot as quickly as I could. I'm in a state that you actually fill out a paper ballot and it's run through into a machine. But there is a paper ballot as the backup. Anything that is on screen only with no paper backup, I would be genuinely very concerned about. Again, me personally.
Right.
I think that's what they were doing up in Tennessee when I still lived up there. You went to the box and touched the key, they touched the screen, and received nothing back that said that you voted, or who you voted, or how you voted. So early voting, at least with a paper ballot that you can drop off or mail in, there is something that you completed that is auditable, for a better way to put it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this is a close enough race unless, no matter what happens, the lawyers are already being lined up for this one on both sides.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, they have.
So,
yeah, and they have to be, really.
You have to be. And they said that the Harris campaigns lined up over a couple of hundred lawyers. They're putting lawyers in every state that they think they're going to have multiple lawyers in any state they're going to have an issue with, or that they want to have recounts on. Same thing on Trump's side. They're both going to be doing that. So we may not have a clearly definitive decision on the evening of election night.
Right.
Uh,
But that's
I
why
think for
Trump has said, like, get out there so it's too big to rig. Essentially, we got, if you're a Trump supporter and you know that's going to be your vote, I think we're going to see a lot of people flooding the polls. And I have mentioned that before. I think on November 5th, if you do plan on voting on election day, a lot of Americans are. Be prepared to wait in line and maybe make a plan
Bring a
for that.
book.
Bring some snacks, a bottle of water, a book to read, something to keep you occupied until it's your
Well,
turn to vote.
bring your phone, bring your iPad, because you're going to want to watch what's going on this channel.
Right. Yes, and we will be streaming. I'm gonna get dressed up that day. I don't know. I haven't decided what the theme is gonna be yet, Dad. We got to get to that. Other than make America great again, because that's our theme. But I gotta get a flag in the background. I think before election day, at least. I'm lacking. I'm lacking on the flag distribution.
Well,
Dad's got
you
it
know
all.
what?
Oh, this way, this way.
We
Here we
we
go.
got
Dad
to
over here.
we got to build you some kind of a studio gig. Now, one day
Like a
you'll be
Trump
down here. You'll
set.
be in the studio with me.
Right. We're hovering around 640 days until that day. So we'll
Yep.
all things
those
considered.
of you who
But
don't
the
know.
one I'm coming. I'm coming for you, Florida, and I promise I will get there someday.
Yep, a lot of people are. A lot of people are. That's.
Yeah.
I think
I'm one
Florida
of
was
those people.
just named as the #1 state for people that people are emigrating to, and there's a reason for that.
It is. I love it personally, and there's so many reasons. I mean, it's not. There's great things to do, and there's fun attractions, and there's the beach. I'm such a beach person. My daughter, one of my daughters, is not. So, great news.
Yep.
But that's okay. There's plenty of things to do and see. The culture down there is so rich and family oriented. It's clean. The roads are great. From everything that I've seen around the state, I've driven through the state. I've flown to the state. I've drove around. I've seen a lot of things. I've taken it in, and I can tell you guys with absolute certainty that I would not plan on moving my entire life, my husband, my children, my dog, to a whole other state if I didn't believe that the opportunities that were awaiting us there were better for our family. I know it's not that way for everyone, but for our family, I think going forward into the future, there's a lot better of an outlook in Florida than there is in the state that we
Absolutely.
currently reside in.
And this is a state
But,
that is run by a Republican governor, a great
Right.
man,
And
Ron
I
DeSantis.
love him. He has done a great job talking about the hurricane. He has been on TV every hour on the hour. This man was he was doing hourly updates in the middle of the night last night. I mean,
That's
he
right.
loves his people, and he
They
loves
went
the state
ahead
of Florida,
and,
and you can tell.
They before the hurricane came down, they had pre-delivered a massive amount of fuel to the state, so there was no problem getting gas down here. We have laws down here specifically to keep price gouging from taking place. I went to the gas
Which is
station the
imperative.
night before, last night, and gas prices were the same as they would have been, or they were the day before, and they probably are today. Excuse me. But
Right.
so we have a great Republican state down here. There's many states, similar states, but
Oh, absolutely. I'm
this is
not
one
saying that there
that,
couldn't be other states that we would love to live in, but this one, I just fell in love with it. I'm a little partial because obviously, my family is there. But I think regardless, I would want to live there regardless. Every time I'm there, I feel like I'm home. I feel like I belong there. I don't feel like a tourist. I don't feel like an outsider. I never have. And I don't think you get that when you visit everywhere. I think those are
Yeah.
only certain places for each individual that you really truly feel
Yeah.
um, that this could work for you. And I do feel like that.
Yep.
I think it's great that you see a lot of families moving to Florida, and I love that because it is very family friendly and um, coming from, in my family, my son has special needs. Um, I want him to have a lot of experiences and fun, and we're just not going to get that where we live right now. So I think a lot
Well,
of
one
people
thing
are thinking the same.
you get a lot of that down here, and one thing down here you don't you whether no matter what party you're with, no matter what candidate you're for, you can honestly put a sticker on your car, a sign in your yard, and are you going to catch a little verbal flack from people? Yeah, because we have
Yeah,
opinions. But are you going to have to run around? Are you going to have to worry that chaining stuff to your house that's going to your signs are going to get stolen or your car's going to get tires slashed or something like that? Most of the people, at least in the part of the country that I'm in, part of the state that I'm in, while they don't agree with you, you are free to voice your opinion because the Constitution, freedom of speech, still matters. And this
right.
is a state that takes pride in that. So I say to a lot of the states that maybe don't have a lot of patriots, a lot of people that would hope that things could change for them in that manner, that it can't happen. But it just comes down to, again, electing the right people. It comes down to electing the people that you believe in what their message is, irrespective of what party they're in. Because what you do when you vote and what you get is what you have to live with. And that goes for both parties.
Absolutely.
We're hearing that from the Democrats about Donald Trump, and we hear it in states that like California that are, having their issues, budgetary.
And it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, budget-wise, and a lot of other things. There's a lot of things going on in a lot of states, and you put people in place to fix those problems and to take care of things. So again, long story short, do your research. Listen to the news, both sides, not just what you listen to every day, to make
Right.
a good, conscious decision on Election Day. But you got to vote. And again, we'll sit here and we can make it very clear what we hope you will do. But the fact that just get out and vote and use the rights that you've been given. This is a year that
Yes.
the votes matter. They always matter. They really matter this year.
Yes.
And I hope you
The
all take that very
implications of
seriously.
what's coming to us, if we don't take this seriously enough, um,
Right?
is
Just
something that I don't
none of
think
you want to think
even,
about.
no, I don't, well, not just that, but um, in terms of unrest in the country and 3 separate wars around the world right now that could inevitably be on our doorstep. This is something that we haven't even seen. We got a really bad taste of it with Pearl Harbor, that thrusted America into World War II. I, honest to God, think if this keeps going in the direction that it's going to make those incidents of Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and the like look like a
Pale
Tuesday
in comparison.
afternoon. Yeah, it is going to be devastating. There will be really bad consequences if, like we said, if you don't do your research, and if you do your research and you wholeheartedly feel like the party that you've been gunning for to vote for is that's the party for you. Absolutely, that is your right as an American citizen to vote for who you believe in your
Well,
heart is going to put the country in a better position to
yeah.
succeed.
But be
We just
prepared to
want you
live
to
with your
have all the
decisions.
facts. Exactly. I don't want to hear a single person start complaining, um, regardless of what the outcome of this election is. If your person who you had your heart and soul set on did not win, um, don't want to hear it. Also, if the person you did not want to have win the election wins, um,
And you didn't vote?
know,
Thanks.
it ends up not working out so great for the country, and you're the one who voted for him. I don't want to hear a peep. Don't want to hear it. If you didn't vote and you sat on your rear end on election day, definitely don't want to hear it.
Nope.
Definitely
It doesn't take a whole lot, folks, to vote.
No, it
The
really
state-
doesn't.
The
Just
county
get
will
in
provide
there.
you with all the information you need. Matter of fact, we just received ours. You know who's going to be on the ballot. You can go to their websites and do your homework. See who you believe in, who holds what policy belief that you as close gets to what you believe. You can talk. You can go to those folks' rallies. You can do all those
Right.
things.
The rallies
make
are
a
free,
good decision.
people. The rallies are free.
Yeah, but don't just vote, as we've said before. Just voting for the party or the side that your family's always voted for all these years is not a good answer. This year, it's the worst answer. Do your homework and see where you land, because the repercussions, either way, are great. So, and what I want to do is I'm going to bring in just this one item before we say good night tonight. One thing that Angie and I are big fans of, and this is a site that we do not have anything from them, or they're not sponsors, which is something we just believe in what they do. And it is where to go? There it is. Let's try channel 2, and that would be the website protectthevote.com. And this website really has it, like, as you can see, everything to do with election integrity. You can go to this website, get a lot of information. You can go to individual states, and it'll get into I want to see where that came up. It will get into the different states and legal issues going on, different news about what's going on both sides of the aisle. And I was looking for that. You can help out by getting on the website, finding the state in which you are a resident of. You can do a lot of things. You can volunteer to go to the polls, be a poll watcher. You can report if you see an irregularity that needs to be addressed. What that is could be anything from someone that you know shouldn't be voting that is, someone that you've seen maybe more than once. I don't know, but if you an irregularity, the way that the process is being running, you can get involved in that and get it to the right people. But this is such an important year that not having some ability, whether it be to volunteer your time, to volunteer your information, or to contribute, and you can contribute to this site towards the effort to get this out further and further. But we do believe that the protectthevote.com is a site you should check out. And again, they're not sponsors of ours, something that we've signed up for and we believe in, because an election where everyone votes is not as important as an election where everyone votes and their vote counts. And
Right.
there's so much information coming out of the media right now about various states that are finding the voter rolls. They're purging out hundreds of thousands of people who shouldn't be on the voter rolls. Happened in Georgia recently, I believe. New Mexico, no,
Wisconsin.
Arizona. Arizona had it happen.
Arizona.
They purged 100,000 votes or something like that of voters that had voted in prior elections that were not authorized to vote. So these are the things that this would help get rid of. And again, all both parties want is a clean and honest election. At least that's what we
Right.
hope.
If anything in our country, our elections deserve the utmost integrity, and that's what this website is really about, you guys, is the integrity of the vote. So you want your vote to count, absolutely, but you also want the state, the poll watchers, the people counting these votes and verifying them are working with the utmost integrity for the vote that's being cast by the person in that state. So, what better way to contribute, not just by voting for the presidential candidate that you feel is going to do the greatest for our country, but to get involved in a more inclusive way. And it gives you also a chance to be a huge part of the community, because you are working, if you're volunteering, you're working within your community to help ensure that nothing nefarious is going on November 5th. And I think that's a huge takeaway, especially in my state, the volunteer state. I've seen a lot of people talking about this website, and if nothing, it is integrity. And I think everyone should have that when they're going to the polls, but everyone should have that even outside the polls. Beyond this election, we need to have integrity. We need to be honest and forthcoming, and not, doing all these weird side things. Let's get this election done, and let's start rebuilding America to the best that it's going to be, and then send it off into the future for a great entire future for our country. Right. So absolutely, and again, I am 100%.
Yeah, and this website is something that is sponsored by and is put together by the GOP. If you feel you don't want to be part of it because of that, don't feel that way. But if that's the case, contact your local county election office, and just, if you want to volunteer to be an election official, be a poll watcher, to be on election day, one of the volunteers to help people navigate their way through things and vote, do that.
Right.
Whatever
you can carpool people to the polls. That is also an option in every state. That is a great thing, especially for the elderly who might not be able to get to the polls or have some difficulty with that. Anything you can do in a bipartisan way. Right. In a bipartisan way, it doesn't really matter what party you're for. You're an American first and foremost. So help your fellow Americans on the biggest day of our country, other than July 4th, which is our Independence Day. This is a biggie, you guys. Let's get together and really make this happen for America, is all I'm saying. Just get your head out of your butt and go to the polls.
That's right. Well, with that said, we've gone quite a bit over. We've had a good one. Guys, we just want to thank you all for coming out, being with us tonight. Again, please leave your comments. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. We'd love to have you as a member of the family. We are going to be here, God willing, and I used to say God willing and the creek don't rise, but the creek's rising right now, so let's leave that out.
Right.
But assuming everything goes well, we will be here at least on a weekly basis, if not a couple times a week. Got to get the glitches out of the system before then. There we go. And then once we get to election night, we're going to be carrying as much as we can to hopefully bring you the most up-to-date figures and numbers, and see how this all works out. But please subscribe to our page. We put up usually a little bit before any live event or any videos being posted. You can hit the notify button, and that notify button thing will notify you, as per the word notify, that we are out here.
Right. If you hit that bell, it notifies you every time we go live, anytime there's a post. So hit that bell, guys, because that's really going to keep you up to date, especially the closer we get to election. We want you guys to be as informed.
Subscribe and hit the bell. You heard, lady.
Yeah, hit that bell. Subscribe, subscribe. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends and neighbors. Because
tell everybody.
The goal here is, again, we are not a monetized channel. We don't make money off this. We do it because we love to do it. We love our subscribers. We like talking about politics, bringing to you what is happening, trying to condense it down to an hour and 15 minutes a week. So when it comes time to make that big decision in that little booth or that little box or wherever you're voting in, that you maybe have a little bit more information that you wouldn't have heard elsewhere. And that is kind of our
Right.
goal. And that's where we're coming from. So with that, I think we're going to put the wrap on this one. Thank you guys again for coming out. It's
Thank you,
truly a blessing to
guys.
come out and do this for you guys. And we will see you for episode 14, more than likely next week, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Hit it, Ange.
All right, guys. Thank you for showing up. And as always, we'll see you next time. And God bless America.
God bless America. Folks, thanks again. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend.